Hello and welcome to The Game Changers. I'm Sue Anstiss and this is the podcast where you'll hear from trailblazing women in sport who are literally knocking down barriers and challenging the status quo for women and girls everywhere. A massive thank you to Barclays for once again sponsoring this series of The Game Changers. Few brands have done more for women's sport. Barclays are title sponsor of the Women's Super League, and they're also backing the FA in the fantastic work it does to ensure that by 2024, every schoolgirl across the country will have the chance to play football. My guest today is Carol Bates, the founder of Crawley Old Girls. Carol's won many awards for her work and innovative approach at Crawley Old Girls, which has had an enormous impact across the country, enabling thousands of women to play football later in their lives. I asked Carol to take me back to the moment that she first decided she wanted to play football as an adult.
Well, having loved football all throughout my life, when I got to 48, I was asked to go to a charity tournament and play football in that. I was so excited, and I was a little bit nervous as well going along the first time, thinking, oh my God, we don't really know how to play, don't really know how to kick the football properly, but it was all for charity, so it didn't really matter. So we just went along there. Oh my goodness, I just had a blast, and I just thought, I've got to do this again. It's given me so much joy just to be on this pitch. I think I touched the ball about twice or something, and I just got the ball in the... To be on this pitch and to just play was it's really difficult to explain. It was like a real high. Then after that, quite strange in a way, it's a bit like fate, because at the time I was chair of the Crawley Town Supporters Alliance, and we had a lot of sort of dealings with the foundation. We raised money for the foundation side of Crawley Town Football Club, and just so happened to see a tweet that they put out. The Football League Trust were trying to, because they work with the community foundations at the professional football clubs, they were trying to get more girls playing football, 14 plus. So after that game, I just thought, oh God, I just so want a kickabout now. So I just tweeted, can I come along and just have a little kickabout? Because I was so excited about playing. And the answer came back that, we're not sure yet, what's happening, but it's 14 plus. And I just said, what's the maximum age? And she said, 25, because the program's 14 to 25. And I thought, well, that's really half my age sort of thing. And so there was no way that I could go to that. But I was just so adamant. Sometimes I get these things in my head. I was so adamant I wanted to do it. And I just said to her, if I can get a few women together, can we run like a session just for fun and to get women playing, older women playing? And she said, well, it hasn't been done before. I checked with the EFL Trust and see if we can get some funding, because all these programs were funded by them. And Nicole Meredith was at the Football League Trust at the time, and I'm sure they had a few discussions saying, can we fund this, and is it going to work? And eventually Nicole, said, yes, let's do 10 weeks worth of funding. So they gave the funding to the foundation, and we just set up this first session. So I just sort of put it on my Facebook page, because I know lots of friends my age who have all been sideline mums. They love football, and I just put a note saying, you don't have to be a spring chicken like me. You don't have to have had any experience. Don't have to be fit. Just the usual. No experience. It doesn't matter. Just come along for a bit of fun, and we'll see what we can do with the football. And I think a lot of women are like me, and that they're not particularly athletic. Never been one for running around, and sort of coordination at Zumba classes is not particularly very good. Not really built for doing athletics and stuff like that. So I think the women sort of thought this is an opportunity for them to get active, have some fun, but they didn't really know what they were entering into. So I just said, come along, it'd be fun. Well, the first night that we put that session on was absolutely brilliant. We just laughed the whole way through. None of us knew what we were doing. We just went back to basics of, I did say to Clara, who was the coach at the time, treat us like under sevens. So, treat us like it's mini soccer. So we're right at the beginning. Teach us how to kick a football properly and how to kick it straight. We did these stretches and we had to stretch our groins. So we pretended to be Liam Gallagher, how his stance. He was like, come on, sort of stretching your groin. And then we're just stretching our backs with the Kim Kardashian stretch. And just everything about it was just fun. And we finished that session and we had red faces, sweaty faces. But through the whole session, we were just laughing about everything we were doing. And everyone enjoyed it so much that, we continued the next week, and it's just word of mouth, really. And that's how it started.
And how many were there of you at that first session?
So we had 10 of us at the first session. And then from there, it just sort of snowballed. It was crazy.
Did you ache the next day?
Well, I think the next week we probably ached. And I think we started up a Facebook page, and all you could see was, oh, my legs are killing me. But by the next week, we'd sort of got back to normal again, and we were back ready to go for some more. But yeah, it was because lots of my friends and me as well hadn't been active for years and years and years. And this was the first time, especially with me, first time I'd sort of really done something as an activity for years. And of course, you're using muscles and, things you haven't used for years as well. And we loved having all these aches and pains because we really felt like we'd done something.
Yeah, felt alive. How was football a part of your life as a young girl? How had football been a part of your life?
Well, so football has always been one of my passions. I used to live with my dad and my sister from sort of about 7 or 8, and he was quite a good footballer locally, and we used to have to go with him every Saturday afternoon to watch him play. He played for Reigate Priory, so we sort of ended up going around the non-league clubs and travelling with him because there was no one else to look after us, so we just ended up going. And we were sort of like the little mascots every week, me and my sister, that we used to go and watch him play. And then obviously there'd be footballs on the sideline, and we'd have a little kick about ourselves. And it grew into sort of doing everything in football apart from playing, really, because sort of at that age you're going every week, and the people at the football club were so friendly, and I think my dad got us to wash the kit and stuff like that when we got a bit older, and they stupidly used to play in white and had red socks with black shorts. And of course, being at that age, my dad was like, "Oh, just chuck it all in the washing machine," and they ended up with pink shirts thanks to us. They were great times growing up, and then I sort of got to sort of teenage years, and I was in the kitchen making their pies and beans and the teas when they came in from the game, just things like that. We cut the oranges up for half time, and there was always something for us to do at the club, which was brilliant. So that's where it all started, really.
Did you want to play? You and your sister, did you ever consider that you could play?
Well, I think growing up, as I said before, it's the missed generation. We weren't allowed to play at school, and of course we had the ban, didn't we, for 50 years. And in the 70s, girls couldn't play football. We weren't allowed. The nearest we could get is maybe trying to nick the ball or go and run after the ball after the boys had been playing and, bring it back. But there were no opportunities for women through the 70s to play football at school.
And did it feel unfair at the time?
I think it just sort of was normalised, wasn't it? Which is such a shame when you think about it now. It was just normalised that girls played netball and hockey and things like that. And, we even used to play in classes, we used to play basketball with the boys, but we never, ever got to play football. It was really strange, actually, when you think it was really segregated like that. Yeah, it's a real shame growing up. But, of course, there are many women like me who have been in that same situation and are benefiting now that we can actually finally play the game.
And how had you been involved in football in the past as a parent?
I'd ended up at work just before I came a parent, actually. I ended up at work working with a load of lads in the warehouse, and they knew how much I love football, and we'd chat about it. And they said to me, "Oh, can you manage a team for us? Can you manage a team? We'll get a team. Can you manage us?" I was like, okay, don't really know a lot about coaching football, but we'll give it a go. So I did that for a few years, and then I had my children. So I had 2 boys, and I loved having boys because it meant we could do some football stuff. Because of course, if the girls still at that age, there still wasn't much, many opportunities for girls to play. So Kieran and Nathan, both my boys, played football from the age sort of about 5, and Kieran sort of played within the Crawley Town youth system. It wasn't like an academy system. It was just like a junior club added on to Crawley Town. So that's when I sort of started to go and watch it there as well on my own. I'd just like go take the kids on a Saturday afternoon and just drive down there and just watch, and trying to keep two kids watching the football or quiet the football for 90 minutes is no mean feat, but I can tell you. But the fact that I could go and watch it and they loved it as well. So it was just a case of, same as a lot of other women, their footies like me, spending lots of time on the sidelines with them every weekend, but wouldn't want to be anywhere else really.
And were there any female officials at your son's games in terms of referees, any women running the line or anything?
Oh, no, there wasn't. And there are a lot more now, but even then it was just males, it was just refereeing, and even the dads. And there's no way one of the mums would offer to do the line or anything like that for fear of ridicule, or because, the men get it enough, don't they, when they're running the line, that's not offside or whatever it is. So the women would not even think about offering. But I think nowadays, that's probably changed, because I think women are far more confident with football, and that's probably changed a bit more now, which is good.
Good news, isn't it? And so tell me more about Crawley Old Girls and how it's progressed and grown since that first course that you ran.
So it's been an incredible rise, to be honest with you, and it's and one day I'll never forget is, so we were running the sessions, and we were getting more and more people coming, and then I had a call saying from the EFL Trust saying they want you and Amy to do a presentation about what you're doing at the next Football League Trust conference, and Nicole came as well, and we went to Reading Football Stadium. And we were in this room, and I remember Nicole saying to me, "Big boss is here today." So Rachel Pavlou, who's a development officer at the FA, she was there, and it was almost like when we did our presentation, Rachel came over. I'll call her Pav now. She came over, and she just said, "I love what you're doing," and that to me just changed everything, because we had a great chat, and she was. I know exactly how you feel, Carol. That's exactly, we want to play, we want women to play. And since then, she's been so supportive and given us so many opportunities. And we've sort of worked together on trying to increase participation for older women. And since that day, then we had to put on another session because there were so many women coming. So, and also when we did the beginners session, there were women that sort of learnt to play that would, needed to go up another level of things. So then we had 2 sessions, and we were very, very lucky. We had when I was chair, I got to know a chap called Sam Supple from the BBC who did Inside Out programs, and I just messaged him one day and just said, "Oh, look, we're doing this thing. If you've ever got any spare space for any programs, it's really good to get these women active." Anyway, so he came back and said, "Oh, I'd love to do it. It's a great idea." So we did a television program, and from that, a lot of women were watching and saw what we were doing, because we're just normal women. We've got extra weight, and we've got, we're not fit, we're not athletic, and we were running around the football pitch with smiles on our faces and just having fun. And I think a lot of women saw that and actually thought, well, if they're doing it, then so can we. And a lot of other groups set up from that, because it was being advertised everywhere, and this is a new thing, so it's great to get these women active, and everyone's having a fun with the football. There were some women that used to play football that had stopped playing, so what happened was they came back into the game as well. So then we had beginners, then we had sort of intermediates, and then we had women who'd played before, so we had to sort of cater for that as well. So we introduced another session, which was like an advanced session for women that had played before. So these are still, older women, sort of in their 40s, that wanted to sort of come back and just have a kick about, just enjoy it. So then we had 3 sessions, and sort of going on from there, we now have 5 sessions a week to just cater for every single ability. But what you find is the women that I have a very strong ethos that it's not competitive. Our ethos is that everyone is there to enjoy themselves, to have fun. And that is the most important thing out of all of this, so that women feel safe. They're in a non-judgmental environment. They come in, and we always have this thing where our warm up is we probably should call it the gossip warm up or something. You just make sure that everybody connects with each other during that. So you could be going around, opening and closing the gates, but everyone's having a good old chat at the same time. It's like a social event and a catch up. Apart from the football, women that we've even met in normal life, all interacting with each other, and there's so many different abilities and different walks of life that come together in one place, that you just have this safe space that when you walk through the gates of that 3G, that place is going to be a comfortable place for you to be for an hour. And that's really important.
And how has it felt to you to find other women who felt the same way, and then who have changed? How have they changed from football, do you think?
I could honestly be here all day telling you how incredible a football is to increase women's confidence, to increase their self-esteem, mental health, physical health. We say it all the time that activity is brilliant for mental health, but it really is. It's not just on the field as well. It's off the field. You get, say, we have a closed Facebook group where people can comment, but it's just like a safe space for women who may be having some issues, or they want to ask something, or we do a check-in, see how everyone is, and then someone might put a little comment saying they're struggling, and that would encourage other women to sort of feel safe about talking about their issues. And then there's plenty of women that will say, "Oh, we'll help you." And so, it's not just about the football. It's about the social. It's about picking people up and just being there to help, really.
Do you think that's something unique to football versus other sports at all? Or do you think you could have created that in any team sport?
I think you possibly could, create it in any team sport, but I think you have to have a really strong ethos in the first place so that women feel comfortable and they're safe, and they know that is their little safe space, and they can come there once a week or twice a week or whatever they want to do. And they know that that's their time to actually enjoy themselves, be active without even realising. It just creates that space, and you don't even know you're being active, so you don't even know that you're, and it's really important at our age to get that activity in.
And have you seen, without too much specific detail, but women who have been transformed in terms of their confidence and what it's enabled them to do elsewhere?
Oh, absolutely. I've seen women come in that have never kicked a ball before, and then you look at them a year or so later and you look at the confidence in them. We go to play little festivals and things like friendlies and things like that. And they're a little bit nervous when they go and play their first games. But my God, you just watch them play with smiles on their faces, and they come off that pitch and you just see them radiating confidence. And then that sort of builds not just in their football lives as they go outside as well. And it's body confidence and things like that. You go on a pitch, you're seeing women that I
real women.
Yeah, real women with lumps and bumps, that are running around with, boobs jumping everywhere and things like that. And actually, that is good for them to see it, because that builds their confidence as well. So then their confidence is taken into their either working life or home life. Lots of women have said, it's changed their lives, really. And I mean, no, that's quite dramatic, but, it has, because they wouldn't have done anything like that before, and it's built their self-esteem. So, and it's great to see someone that comes for the first time. We have a woman called Viv, who I love to bits. She's 65 and she'd never played football before. She came along. And you watch her now, she's running around the pitch. She's so excited when she comes, and she's really good. And you just think, this is just amazing, watching her and watching her confidence grow. And everyone just is inspired by her. And we've got lots of women like that in their 60s who are just running around and having fun and enjoying themselves.
It must give you great satisfaction to see the impact COGS is having on people's lives.
Yeah, and every woman has got a story that inspires somebody else. And I think the main thing is, when we started with 10 women and then sort of go on to today, where the legacy groups for each host city for the Women's Euros have now been given £1 million by Sport England. And out of that, so they've each got 100,000. Out of that money, there is a women's recreational football officer, which has been created to increase the participation in adult recreation football during and after the Euros. Women's Euros, to see how women's recreational football has grown and how much it's impacting other women sort of around the country. And, it's just incredible to think. And I just think I get so much joy out of being on a football pitch. I can't, I'm not fast at running or anything like that, but over the years, my fitness has increased. I get so much joy out of it. And I just think if I can must be hundreds of thousands of women in this country who have been so busy with life, with children. If I can get that into their heads, just go and play at your local foot, whether it's, running football like we do walking football as well, either one of those, just go out and do it. And I think it's so important that we say, you don't have to have any experience. But once you actually get into that environment and you just enjoy it, the joy is just incredible. And if we could get all these women, especially, during this menopause as well, I mean, that's really sort of significant at the moment, isn't it? There's lots of talk about menopause. It's so important that women are active at our age. And I often say to people, come and join the call to come. And the two things that people say the most are, but I don't know anything about football and I'm not very fit. And I'm saying, but you're exactly the people that we want to come. So I just think the more, that we can get this out there and the women have the opportunities, hoping you can get your shorts on soon.
I was out with a group this weekend and we talked about walking netball, actually, about getting back to walking netball. So maybe, but it's interesting, isn't it, with the football side, because I am one of those women that would think I've never played, I wouldn't even know how to kick a football. And so it's really powerful, your messaging around it doesn't matter about your fitness and it doesn't matter that you have no skill because it's right back. I love that analogy of, the year 7 or whatever, 7-year-olds. But it is that you're going to instruct right from the beginning, because that's the bit that makes you anxious, is that you wouldn't know the first thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's the messaging and the imagery around football. I mean, I'm often having a moan about the imagery, about women our age. There's hardly any, imagery out there of people like me playing football. And I'm not just walking around a pitch. We all run around the pitch, not, for the whole 90 minutes, because we play small-sided games. We play 10 minutes, we play 15 minutes. I remember when we played our first competitive games, we went to the People's Cups final in Sheffield, but that was only because there were 6 teams in the whole country that entered and 4 of them were ours. So it's but we were absolutely shattered by the end. But, that just to be able to enter something and just play where we didn't really know what we're doing was just incredible.
And how have the Old Girls been received by the other fans of Crawley Town?
Oh, they've been great. We've actually got quite a few fans that come along, and I think they get used to me sort of going on about the cogs. And you've been in the programme a few times, and we've won a few awards. We put them upstairs in the exec lounge so that it is about exposure, isn't it? Just look what can be done when women get together. We've had some incredible moments over the whole 6 years, but that wouldn't have been possible without all these amazing women that come along. I think one of the most important things, and one of the most important things I get out of it, is that women will come along, they'll enjoy it, but they'll come back again. Women still coming that started 5 years ago, and they're still coming back every week, and they're still loving it, and they're still enjoying it. And, just to see that, I think that's one of the main things that we get out of it. And we've just seemed to have done so many things. I think we've just been very lucky because we were sort of at the beginning of, doing things like this. But last year at the World Cup, not last year, we lost a year, haven't we?
Yeah.
The World Cup. We organised an Old Girls World Cup, which was just really a festival in France at the same time as the World Cup was on. And we had 20 teams that came from the UK and just for fun. So it's really about making more opportunities and getting more opportunities for women like us.
And how has it been with coaches? I watched one of your videos, the fantastic guy coaching you all. So has it been easy to find coaches for COGS and for other women's teams?
Yes, I think that was probably Marcus who said, well, you are behaving like 7-year-olds, so we will treat you. I mean, he was great. But we've been lucky because the foundation runs some of our sessions. So the coaches from the foundation, they run them. And I've been coaching the walking football sessions. And I think we sort of talk about coaching. That's sort of a byproduct as well of this. So women start playing and they really get into playing, and then other opportunities come out, like, oh, you can do your level 1. So a few of us have done a level 1. And then a few of the women that have come along have actually set their own girls' teams up. So they're now, so the knock-on effect from just coming to play, you're actually taking your knowledge or doing your coaching, and you're setting up groups for young girls to play. And so that, as I say, the knock-on effect is incredible. We did run, because Brighton play at Crawley, so we go there quite often, and we linked up with Brighton, and I ran a festival before one of the games a couple of years ago. And what we did was just come and play before a game. So we had a little festival, and anyone could have come along and just had a little kickabout and have a little play. And by doing that, you got in to watch the game. So that increased the spectators by 70 odd, which is, it doesn't sound much, but
it builds, doesn't it? Yeah,
it's a building thing. And then from there, we all went to the World Cup in France. So the knock-on effect from just women involved in these groups for football, and women's football especially, is huge.
And rightly, you've been recognised hugely for your achievements with COGS. And I think we first met at the Women's Sport Trust Be a Game Changer Awards, years ago, or quite a few years ago. But in terms of the other awards that you've won, how does it feel to be recognised in that way?
I think it's amazing, that we've been recognised in that way. But I always get a bit sort of about awards. I'm not very good at things like that. But yeah, it's not me that's won the awards. It's everybody that comes. They come every week, and they're inspiring other women to do the same. And they've been rewarded for it. And we've had some lovely nights out, and I had a special night out at the Sunday Times, which was a total surprise. But again, it's just all the women that are involved that make it such a brilliant group, and they inspire other women around the country. We've now got sort of a Facebook group that has a lot of promoters and organisers of women's rec football in one place, because that was a thing. There wasn't really anywhere for us to be in one place to talk about good practice and things like that. So that's sort of a growing side of it as well.
But it's great for profile in terms of letting other women know it's going on. And as you said, that ripple effect of what you've done and people being aware of that, and then knowing they can go and set those things up themselves too. And do you feel the FA is doing enough now? Is it making amends for the 50-year ban in terms of how much it's investing in women's game and the recreational women's game too?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people don't see what goes on behind the scenes and the hard work and the women that have been there for years and years and years, who have just been pushing and pushing and pushing. And they've done some incredible work. I mean, I know there was the ban, but they're definitely making up for it now. And especially, they just want to help. They just want to increase participation. And that to me is the most important thing, is increasing participation. It's not about going winning this and winning that. And it's getting women involved, and you can't do everything at once, and you have to build these things slowly to make sure they're going to work. Especially with Sport England as well, with their investment with the FA. So I just want it to be normal that a woman like me would think, I'm just going to go and play football tonight. Like people think, oh, I'm just going to go to a yoga session, or I'm just going to go to Zumba, because I want there to be sessions all around the world, all around the country, that women like us have access to. And I think that's the problem, is that at the moment, there's pitches, everyone wants pitches, so there probably aren't enough pitches around. But, in the future, let's just normalise it, that however old you are, you can still play football.
Brilliant. I'm going to embarrass you further now by talking about your kick-up challenge in April last year. So tell us about that. It got some huge high-profile attention across social media as well.
It was that, well, I forgot about that, but yes, it was honestly, I don't think I'm ever going to challenge myself physically to do anything like that again, because I became, well, obviously because we couldn't go out during lockdown, could we? So I thought, well, I'm going to, we did a little COGS on the COGS page. We said, well, let's do something like, we've done some challenges and stuff. And we said, oh, we'll try and do a kick-up challenge. So I am absolutely useless. I couldn't do any. So I thought, right, I've got all this time. Let's try and do something. So I challenged myself to go from 0 to 20 before I hit 54, which gave me a bit of time. Oh my goodness. I was literally, I had no clue what I was doing. I was kicking the ball everywhere. I kicked the ball next door over the fence. But every day I went out there, and I must have been out there for at least 4 hours most days, just trying to do some kick-ups. And it was it took a long time, but I managed to do 14. I was doing a few a day, and then I got sort of a different rhythm, and then I was using both feet. And I did 14, and I was so chuffed, and I put it on Twitter. I was like, I've got to try and do this. Well, the next morning, my phone just blew up, and I was like, oh my God, what's going on? And my friend Joe messaged me, and he said, the MLS have just tweeted about your kick-ups. I was like, what? And the next 2 days, the whole thing went viral. But you know what the most incredible thing was? I didn't have one negative comment. I had about 800 odd comments. So it was a ridiculous amount of comments. And the most incredible thing to me was a lot of those comments were from men saying, that's really good, keep practicing, or you're better than my mate, and, all this thing. And it was really encouraging. And I took a lot from that, because I thought there's a lot of negativity from men, about women's football, this, that, and the other, who cares, and whatever. But actually, when that went viral, it really surprised me. And I thought, that's really good that, all these men are saying that's brilliant and well done and keep it up and this sort of thing.
How did Major League Soccer find you, MLS?
I have absolutely no idea. I had no idea. And Hope Solo tweeted it, and Alex Longest tweeted, and I just went mad. It was one of those things. I just have no clue how that all started off. And then I thought, well, God, it's gone viral now, so I've got to make sure I do it. And I was out there for hours and hours and hours. And eventually I did 25, and I was so pleased with myself.
Wow.
I just had a little scream, and I was thinking, what can I do? And I was thinking, I really want to do around the world. And then I started practicing it and thought, no, my hips are too far gone for this. I thought, well, probably one will end up out of its socket or something ridiculous. So I didn't challenge myself to that in the end. But that was my kick-up challenge.
Brilliant. Any other challenges planned for the future?
Oh gosh, those are challenges. Well, we do challenges with COGS challenge. We did, in lockdown, we were trying to keep people active. So we did a COGS minute challenge, which basically everyone was just recording their minutes to be active during the day. And it was whether it was cycling, walking, running, or moving logs, or washing the car. We sort of kept that going for a few months to keep everyone active while we were in lockdown. But I don't think I'll challenge myself to do anything physically like that again.
And can you just tell us a little bit more about the FA's plans around European Championships next year? So locally for you within your area, what will that look like, do you think, in terms of getting more women into recreational football?
So I'm on the legacy group for the Brighton and Hove host city, and there is so much planning going on, not just for adult recreation, but just for girls and women in general, just to increase participation, give more opportunities. One of the plans for next year, or one of my plans for next year, I'm going to run a women's recreational football festival. So that'll be in Crawley while the Euros are on. And that will be to just get women playing for fun and enjoyment against other teams of like-minded women. I went to organise a COGS Fest, as we called it, a couple of years ago, and that got cancelled through to COVID. But we had 32 teams, and it's not competitive. It's just a festival, so people come along and just play for fun. And we just do like little awards for. So for each group, we'll have the team that helped another team out, or not like sportsmanship, but it's friendly and enjoying it and all this sort of thing. And the refs sort of mark each team, and then we go from there and just hand out little awards for each group. So it's purely a festival, and so we're getting ready to organise a big one for next year. So we're hoping 48 teams. I think we're going to try and get down to it, and just little things like I was thinking, it'd be a good idea to get the Lionesses' mums to get a team together, just there's a challenge.
I love that.
Because it is all about the fun, and it's not going to be competitive games. It's, and I just thought that would be quite a nice idea.
That's a brilliant idea, actually. And having spoken to them for the podcast, I've spoken to Lucy Bronze, and they all talk about their mums all seem to be amazing women. I'm in awe of Jess Fishlock. I'm in awe of so many of their mothers. So that would be...
Well, Bronze, I'd love to be her. She seemed like an absolute legend, driving everyone around. And just little things like that, which I think would really inspire other women.
Yeah, absolutely.
To actually just come and play. And, Women in Football said, I've spoken to Jane Purden, and hopefully she'll get a team together. So hopefully we can just put out there that these women are just playing, but they're playing for fun and they're playing for enjoyment, and look at the enjoyment they're having.
Yeah, I like that. Let's make it happen, Carol.
Yes.
And then you mentioned, I guess it's a lot about the recreational side, and you mentioned the FA People's Cup campaign and your involvement there. But obviously there is some element of playing competitively too. So is that important that there's that side as well if women do want to be more competitive?
Yeah, I mean, it's grown so much that we do play for fun, but we obviously play in competitive games, not like you could be all end all. Well, to me anyway. I mean, some women might go in there, yeah, they've really got to win this, but actually, in women's recreational football, and Surrey FA have done a brilliant job of actually creating a flexi league. So now women's rec football, if you want to be a bit more competitive, you can join a league, and Sussex are looking at doing the same thing as part of the legacy for Brighton Hove. You've also got some great stuff going on further up the country. In Cheshire, there's an Inspire League, they call it. So there's loads of women's rec groups that actually go and play. And I love the name of that league, Inspire League. And they just go and play fixtures there. And there is so much good work going on around the country for different events and festivals that go on. So there are opportunities, but there just aren't enough yet.
Excellent. I think they will be with you on it, I'm sure. So you and I are a similar age, and I have felt in the past that sometimes women of our age are missed out in terms of grassroots participation campaigns that tend to target younger women. But why do you think that sport is so important for women over 50?
Well, I mean, as I say, with going through the menopause and perimenopause, it is so important for women to be active. As I say, I wasn't active before I started doing this, and I do feel that it's really benefited me in terms of bones and heart disease, and it's really important to try and stave away all these diseases and illnesses that actually do come around when you get a bit older, and especially menopause, where you are going through a tough time. I mean, touch wood, I've been not too bad, but I've heard some horrendous stories of anxiety and this sort of thing. And to get out and be active is so important. You can't underestimate what going out and playing an hour's worth of activity can do for your body, not only mentally and physically. So anyone that's thinking about it is our age and thinking that they can't do anything, there's nothing. It's so difficult, isn't it? Because you go through life sorting out your families and doing all that sort of stuff, and you get embroiled in life, and you don't really have a lot of me time when the kids are growing up. And I think when you get to sort of 40 or 50, you need to actually say to yourself, I'm going to concentrate on me for a little bit. And just that 1 hour out a week, or 1 or 2 hours out a week, is so important for your mental health and your physical health. And I can't stress enough how much it's changed me. It's changed my life being able to do this and play football. I would have never, ever have thought that I could run down the road up and back again years and years ago. Even when I was like 30, I probably couldn't have done it. But having done, just play football and just having fun, sort of running around and being silly or whatever, has enabled my fitness to increase without me even realising it. So it's just a case of getting women there in the first place, I think. It's very difficult for women to have that confidence to actually go and join somewhere. And I've had quite a few emails from women that want to come along saying, I'm really nervous. And then the next week they're like, I was going to come, but I was a bit worried. And I say, look, don't worry, I'll be there. Don't worry about it. Just come on your own. It doesn't matter. As soon as you get there, the women are like bees to a honey pot. They're like, oh yeah, come with us. And, and you need that sort of camaraderie. And then, once they come along, that their anxiety's gone for an hour, if you like. So you can just forget everything for that 1 hour. So mentally, for somebody who is suffering, that's really important as well, not just the physical side. And as I say, you're increasing your fitness without even realising it because you're having so much fun. So it's just really important.
Thanks again to Carol for taking the time to talk to me about Crawley Old Girls. It's incredible to see the impact she's now having after that initial approach to Crawley Town Community Trust. Hearing her story gives great inspiration to follow your dreams and make a difference. Who knows, perhaps Carol will eventually get me along to play football with her in the future. If you'd like to hear about the career paths of other trailblazing women in football, previous podcast guests include the likes of Kelly Smith, Steph Horton, Rachel Yankee, Eni Aluko and Lucy Bronze. You can find out more about all 66 guests from this and the previous series at fearlesswomen.co.uk, and that's also where you can see more of the work that I do, including the Women's Sport Collective, a network for women working in sport. Thanks again to Barclays for their brilliant support of the Game Changers, to Sam Walker, our executive producer, and Rory Askery on sound production. Do come and say hello on social media, where you'll find us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram at The Game Changers or at Sue Anstiss. My guest next week is Dr. Pippa Grange, the influential sports psychologist and culture coach. Pippa was head of people and team development at the Football Association until the end of 2019, working closely with the England men's football team for the World Cup in 2018. Pippa's now part of the senior leadership for the global Right to Dream group, working on cultural strategy. She's also the author of the compelling book, Fearless: How to Win at Life Without Losing Yourself.
I felt really weird at the end of that because the media had made a hero out of me, which is a difficult thing to experience within an elite sport anyway. I felt really awkward about that, and I think it did create some tension.
The Game Changers. Fearless Women in Sport.